Have you ever pondered on how football, the world's most popular sport, came to be? Let's take a trip back in time, a journey through history to the ancient roots of football. Long before the Premier League, the World Cup, or even the concept of a round ball, forms of football were being played. The game has morphed and evolved over time, taking on different shapes and rules in various cultures across the globe. Let's start with ancient China, around 3,000 years ago. A sport called kuju, which literally translates to kick ball with foot, was popular among military officials as a way to keep fit. The objective was simple: kick a leather ball filled with feathers through an opening without using hands. Sound familiar? Then, we move over to ancient Greece, where a game called episkiros was played. Although it was more similar to rugby, it still shared some key features with modern football. Players would try to throw a ball over a scrimmage while avoiding tackles. In ancient Rome, a game called harpastum was popular. It was a little more violent than our current version of the game, but it still involved kicking a ball, aiming to get it across a boundary. Now let's hop over to medieval England. Here the game was more of a chaotic, unruly event involving an entire village. The objective was to get an inflated pig's bladder from one end of the village to the other. It was a rough and tumble affair, but it was also a precursor to the football we know today. These ancient versions of football may seem far removed from the modern game we love today. They were different, yes, but they all shared the common thread of using footwork and a ball. Each one contributed, in its own way, to the evolution of the sport. So, while the exact origins remain unclear, it's evident that a game resembling football has been around for centuries. It's a testament to the universal appeal of the beautiful game, a sport that transcends time and culture. But when did football as we know it today truly begin? It's in the heart of the 19th century, in England, where our journey takes us next. A time when the Industrial Revolution was reshaping society, and with it, the world of sports was undergoing a transformation of its own. Football was no exception. The English public schools played a pivotal role in this evolution. Schools like Eton, Harrow, and Rugby were not just educational institutions, but breeding grounds for the sport's development. They were the crucibles where raw and rowdy medieval football was refined into a more structured game. Yet, the diversity of rules across these schools created a hurdle. Football in one school was different from football in another. There was a dire need for a unified set of rules. This led to the historic meeting held in London, in the year 1863. Representatives from various football clubs gathered with one goal in mind: to codify the rules of the game. This meeting saw the birth of the first football association. It was a turning point, a moment that marked the transition from chaotic medieval football to the organized sport we know today. But not everyone was on board with these new rules. A rift formed, leading to a split between those who wanted to use their hands, thus birthing rugby, and those who insisted on a game played predominantly with the feet. And so, modern football was born. The new rules brought clarity and order. They defined the size of the pitch, the number of players, and even the shape of the ball. They set the boundaries within which the beautiful game would evolve. These developments in England didn't just change the game at home, but set the stage for football's expansion beyond the British Isles. The codified rules made the game easier to export, paving the way for its global spread. The birth of modern football in the 19th century set the stage for the sport's global spread. So how did football go from an English pastime to a global phenomenon? Well, the beautiful game didn't take long to enchant the world. As the 19th century rolled on, football began to spread its wings beyond the British Isles, reaching far and wide, from the sun-drenched beaches of South America to the bustling streets of mainland Europe. The English, with their love for the game, played a pivotal role in this global spread. Industrial workers, sailors, and traders took the game with them, sharing their passion with the world. It wasn't long before football clubs started springing up in places as diverse as Argentina, Italy, and Germany, each adding their unique cultural flair to the game. Now let's take a moment to talk about a landmark event in football history. Picture this. The year is 1872, and two teams from England and Scotland face off in what is recognized as the first ever international football match. Played in Glasgow, this match laid the groundwork for international football as we know it today. On a chilly November day, a crowd gathered at the West of Scotland Cricket Club's ground. The match ended in a goalless draw, but it was about more than the scoreline. It was a testament to the growing popularity of football, an affirmation that the sport was no longer confined to a single nation, but was ready to embrace the world. Following this historic match, national football associations began to sprout across the globe. From the United States Soccer Federation established in 1913, to the Federación Mexicana de Fútbol, formed in 1927, these organizations built the infrastructure needed for football to flourish in their respective countries. And so, as the 20th century dawned, football had transformed from a sport enjoyed by a few English towns into a global pastime. It brought people together, transcending borders and cultural divides. With football spreading across the globe, the stage was set for international competitions. And that, my friends, is how football captured the hearts of millions and became the world's favorite sport. When did the idea of a global football tournament take shape? This question leads us to the birth of the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, or as we commonly know it, FIFA. Established in the year 1904, FIFA took on a mission of paramount importance: to oversee international competition among the national associations of football. You see, the game of football had already spread its roots deep into the hearts of people worldwide, but the lack of an international governing body was a glaring void. FIFA emerged as a beacon of unity, bringing together different nations under the banner of this beloved sport. It was a step forward, a leap towards globalizing the game, and marking the beginning of an era of international football that we relish today. Now let's fast forward to the year 1930. The world was on the brink of many changes, and amidst all this, FIFA decided to introduce something revolutionary. The inaugural FIFA World Cup, the first of its kind, was held in Uruguay. This wasn't just another tournament, it was a spectacle that brought nations together, not in a battlefield, but on a football pitch. The World Cup brought a new dimension to the game, adding a larger context and a grandeur that was previously unimaginable. It wasn't merely about winning or losing a match anymore, it was about national pride, about representing one's country on the world stage. The World Cup had a significant and profound impact on the game, etching its importance deep into the annals of football history. From that moment onwards, the World Cup became a quadrennial event, a global festival, a stage where countries battle not with arms, but with tactics, skill, and the unyielding spirit of their football teams. From Pele's Brazil to Maradona's Argentina, from the underdog stories to the dominant reigns, every World Cup writes a new chapter in the epic saga of football. The World Cup, a stage where countries battle for football supremacy, was born. And with it, a new era of international football was ushered in, an era that continues to captivate millions of hearts around the globe. How has football evolved since its inception? As the world's most popular sport, football has seen significant changes and growth over the centuries. Let's delve into the evolution of the game's tactics, rules, equipment, and the impact of technology. Football tactics have evolved from the rudimentary strategies of early games to the sophisticated playbooks of today. In the initial stages, teams would often deploy a straightforward physical approach. But as the game progressed, so did the tactics, evolving into a more complex and tactical sport. The introduction of formations like the WM in the 1920s, the 4-4-2 in the 1960s, and the 4-3-3 in the 2000s demonstrate this evolution. The rules of football, too, have seen pivotal changes. The introduction of the offside rule, for instance, drastically altered the dynamics of the game. Similarly, the implementation of the back pass rule in the early 1990s led to a more open and attacking style of play. Football equipment has also evolved significantly, from the heavy leather balls of the yesteryears to the lighter and more aerodynamic ones used today. Kit designs have become more streamlined, and boots are now lighter and designed for specific roles on the pitch. Technology has also left an indelible mark on football. The advent of televised matches in the 1960s made the game more accessible, turning it into a global spectacle. Today, technologies like the Video Assistant Referee or VR have brought about a new level of accuracy, though not without its share of controversy. Moreover, football has grown from a simple pastime into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Players are now global icons, clubs are run like multinational corporations, and the sport itself is a major driver of the global economy. Football has come a long way from its humble beginnings, evolving into the beautiful game that captivates billions today. The evolution of football is a testament to the sport's adaptability and enduring appeal. As we move forward, the only certainty is that this beautiful game will continue to evolve, enchant, and inspire.